What's up, everyone? Arctic here, bringing you guys some Titanfall gameplay, Pilot Hunter game mode. This is what I've been playing a lot lately whenever I've been by myself. This match is one I wanted to... I was going to upload it separately as a gameplay, kind of like some of the ones I've done that have been really, really close, excellent gameplays. This is one of those. This is probably the most memorable game of Pilot Hunter I've played yet. Specifically because these guys on the other team dropped Titans at the beginning of the match, and my team handled it so well. You just don't see that in pub matches. So, typically when the opposing team drops Titans and the other team doesn't, then, it turns into a major slaughter fest. And Corporate is one of the absolute worst maps to drop Titans on in the beginning because there's so many places for pilots to hide with these buildings that frankly, the Titans just have no access to them and trying to kill them. So talk about a really bad move on their part that ended up not working in their favor for this game. And I'm going to let you guys kind of see, with the gameplay itself. But needless to say, this is one of my favorite matches that I've played. And I was going in. I was trying to do my best to make sure our team came out on top. But right at this point right here, my controller started looking up in the air. My controller disconnected. So fast forward a couple minutes. It took me like 3 minutes to end up finding my batteries and plug. The score is still really close, 1-7. Right? That's excellent, excellent stuff from our team. I was so impressed when I came back, and I was like, "Oh my God, the score is still close." So I'm using the G2A4 active radar pulse. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, why I like those combinations. I've been using a lot of the active radar pulse with a variety of different weapons to see which ones I like the most. And quite frankly, I think it's a severely underutilized ability, at least in public matches. Skyless and I talked about, the competitive community's feeling towards ARP as a whole, but, I just haven't seen a lot of players using it for them to say that it's overpowered. It is strong, as are some of the other abilities. I think Cloak is pretty strong against Titans, against active radar pulse. I think Stim is pretty strong. And firefights and mobility. I mean, each one has their place, and obviously for me, I use anything. I can use anything. You guys have seen me use Cloak. You guys have seen me use Stim. You guys have seen me use active radar pulse. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, and this is what I said on our show Frag Logic, all I'm trying to do is be the best player I can be at the game. I'm not trying to put artificial things in the way that say, don't play like that because that's cheap, or don't play like that because you shouldn't do that, because it's in the game, right? So why not utilize it? Now, I think the one caveat to that is burn cards, which I just don't use, and I can use them. I'm collecting them, but I just don't use them in a public match. Now, if they get approved for competitive play, I have no problem utilizing it, but its current format doesn't lend itself well to competitive play because it's just so random, right? So, we've talked about ways to kind of incorporate that into the competitive scene, like having a draw at the beginning or selecting from a pool. That way everyone has access to it and it doesn't seem as random. Because ultimately, when you're talking about competitive play, high-level play, you want to remove as many random factors as possible to show who is the better player, right? Like, you don't want some bird or whatever, some outside force coming into your baseball game or your football game or your sports game and then interfering with it, and you going, "Oh my God, that was so random. That would determine the outcome of this game." That happens in baseball, right? People catch these fly balls that could have been caught by players, and that's like, what? You're going to let that fly? That's kind of how we feel about, some of these things with the game, right? So you can't determine what's going to, when you're going to get a Titan burn card or some other burn card, and some other player that plays the exact same amount of hours and you, does the exact same things, has the exact same challenges, doesn't receive one, right? That's not fair. So I think that's our positioning on it as a whole collective, unit from the competitive communities. That's just not fair in that sense. And you want to eliminate as many random factors as possible. Now, showcasing gun skill, movement, abilities, those things aren't really random chance. Those are all in the game. Everyone has access to them. So it's not like, one person does and one person doesn't. So when it comes to that type of stuff, that's where I am like holding ground. Like, no, please don't turn this into a game that it is not. And again, I understand the same argument can be made for burn cards, but I'm just giving you guys an insight on why I think the competitive community collectively doesn't necessarily agree with that. Back to this game, you guys can see the score super close, right? Super close. I was so impressed with my teammates. So impressed with them. They were holding out. Just excellent stuff. You do not see that in pubs. It's so close right now, despite them dropping Titans in the beginning. Now, for my burn cards specifically, I said all I have are Titan. I have 20-something burn cards, and I've wasted and when I say wasted, I've thrown away on accident probably 20 burn cards since we've started not using them. So every single game that you guys have seen me play, whether it be streaming or uploads, I just don't use them, right? I mean, I don't know why. I don't even, every once in a while I'll hit Y as I'm dying and it'll pull up the burn cards. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want to play. So, I think it's kind of like a challenge to myself almost in a lot of these matches not to use them so I can overcome, adverse situations. Like if I got to the point where I felt like I was using them every single time, and this is what you see a lot in CTF, right? So players will burn all 3 of their burn cards at the very first half of the match. And if you're a good team, or you have a composition of good players, let's say you thwart them, or let's say you hold them off, and they only get 1 flag capture, and they drop, we're dropping Titans like crazy, or they drop, or they had 0 flag caps, right? That next round starts. I can't tell you how many times this has happened. We have steamrolled them, gotten 6 caps, 5 caps, in the second half, and they get 0. And it's because they are relying on those burn cards to artificially inflate their performance, right? So I think relying on them is not a good habit to get into each and every game. Now, some modes like Pilot Hunter or even Hardpoint, they don't necessarily matter. But for Capture the Flag, where it's round based, if you have poor card management, you're going to get tore up against some of the better players that are holding you back despite being at a disadvantage. So that's just one thing to kind of keep into account, and that's why I like kind of challenging myself whenever I am in a match and I just don't use them. So that's it on burn cards. That's all I got to say on burn cards. I do want to talk a little bit more about the competitive community itself. It's small. I think it's small. It's definitely I think challenging right now to find things that we can plan as a team because of our schedules and when events are and stuff like that. But now that I'm back, it seems like a lot of the guys internally are trying to organize when are the best times to play, what tournaments are we going to participate in, and things of that nature. Right now on Game Battles, and you guys have probably seen, I want to say his name is Alfredo or something like that from IGN. Their team, Zenjance, is the #1 team on Game Battles. And we played a 3v3 against them in Last Titan Standing, and they, from my understanding of the match and even their understanding of the match, we posed the greatest threat to them in terms of giving them an L in the tournament. But that team is not enough time to react. I reacted too slow right there. So sad. So sad. But that team is seems like they are top dogs right now in Titanfall, and I want to say their Game Battles record is still undefeated, but I just don't know how many people are trying to play at a competitive level right now for me to say, hey, these are the top teams. I just know Zenjance as of right now. Even LGD, who I may have talked about in a separate video, I don't know what they're doing. Type Z seems to kind of be playing. They might be having, issues with people getting on and trying to orchestrate, their schedules around these tournaments. Ooh, that was so lucky. I had the guy right beside me, and I don't think he saw me, and I get the kill on him. But yeah, there's a number of teams and players that I think are having schedule conflicts, and I'm just trying to see where this is going to take us, because like I said, we're not doing anything. I got my neck snapped. That would prevent us from playing this game at all. And it's not like we're looking for another competitive game to play. Like I said in the beginning, we're just trying to play as a team and as a unit together in whatever games come up. Obviously, Destiny is one that we all want to play together, and I don't even know if that game is going to have any type of competitive merit, so to speak. and then, the other game that we've all talked about is the Division. So, from a competitive standpoint, it's there. I mean, it has the components to be a very special game. I just don't know if the interest is there from, a lot of the players. We're going to be entering some tournaments this upcoming weekend, which I'll shed more light on as I know who all is going to be playing and whatnot. But I think there's a 5 versus 5 game battles tournament that has free entry on Sunday of next week. So, I think we're going to enter that. I think there's also a 3v3 tournament that has a smaller number. I don't know if there's any teams signed up. It's either Saturday or Sunday as well. And it's a paid entry. So that's one of the things that's kind of restricting people as well. But, every weekend we're pretty much looking for tournaments. I think we haven't played in one now for 2 weekends straight just because of, I was gone, conflicts and schedule and stuff like that. But we're actively playing. And I had some people actually ask me where they can get involved in the competitive scene. A lot of players and teams at this point don't like game battles. I'm one of those guys. I don't particularly care for game battles. I don't care to play in matches. I'd rather just get scrimmages all day, just so we can try a lot of things out and, kind of have that freedom to do whatever we want. There's a lot of rules in place, and I don't think they're necessarily the best rules all the time. So there's just some issues I think that kind of come in, go hand in hand with playing on game battles. Also, the community can be very, very toxic there. So I've kind of shied away from that the older I've gotten and the more I've played. But you can play there. We mentioned the European Gaming League is a place to play on PC. And then, Skyless and I are trying to organize a couple things amongst ourselves to do for like invite-only type things where, we're actually going to fork over some money and try to get people interested in playing like a little small leagues and stuff like that, just to kind of grow interest around it. I think a lot of the things that are going to help us moving forward is, Respawn introducing a spectator mode, and just some more things that, competitive features. It could be ladders or some type of ranking system or whatever that will make the competitive spirit, I think is the term that they used, more prevalent among players and readily available, right? You need access to it in order to utilize those things and make use of them. So I think once those things fall into place, you guys will see a lot more interest. At the same time, there's a ton of other games right now that are all vying for competitive players' interest right now. Call of Duty being the big one. And unless you start putting up money tournaments, and that's sad to say, but I think a lot of interest in competitive esports as a whole isn't necessarily grassroots stuff. It's more, hey, where can I get the most bang for my buck? So that also plays a huge factor in the viability of playing a game long term for competitive reasons. Because I just think a lot of players are more interested in money than they are, just competing. So I shouldn't have tied that one. I should have killed that guy. That's frustrating. Look how close it is. 33-36 with 15 seconds left. 10. Oh my God, what's going to happen? 35-36. Headshot on a dude that's invis. And we're up 37-36 as the clock runs out for the victory. Hope you guys enjoyed this match. It's been awesome. More gameplay, more general thoughts on the state of gaming, competitive Titanfall, and all that stuff coming up. Be on the lookout for my next tips and tactics video here really soon. I think I'm going to do the 40mm cannon for Titans. So that's what I'm on right now, Titan abilities. But I hope you guys enjoyed this gameplay. Really fun match. And until the next time, I will catch you guys later. Stay frosty.